I'm Tyler, and I'm an addict. What addiction is to me is an obsessive and compulsive disorder, and in an active use. I think it takes over the forefront of like what survival is, and it completely takes control of all instincts and puts addiction at the forefront, and the need to get high in front of any other life responsibility. So yeah, my biological father has been out of my life since I was 2 years old, and from what I understand now, he as well is an addict and has spent the majority of his life in prison in a penitentiary in Texas for drug use and manufacturing drugs, specifically methamphetamine. But my childhood, I was adopted at like 5 or 6 by my father, and there was some abuse, and it wasn't the perfect family all around, but I think that I was genetically, there was something attached to it there. Well, I got into drugs when I was about 12 years old, and started using marijuana, and I didn't really see it being a problem until I was living in Pittsburgh in about 2006, and I was basically homeless, addicted to heroin, and all my belongings were in a vehicle, and I packed up my things. Well, they were in the vehicle, and I went to my grandma's in Ohio, and the first time I ever fully detoxed out of about a year or 2 of consistent heroin use, I went through a 5 or 6 day detox that just shook me. I mean, it was the worst thing that's ever happened to me. Super physical pain and mental panic, and then I struggled with heroin for several years after that. Over the years, I've accepted that I was an addict, and then with not regularly going to meetings or regularly staying in contact with support groups or staying in treatment, I would forget those facts, it seemed like. I'd put it in the back of my head and I'd try drinking again or try smoking weed again, and every time I did those things, it ended up exactly the same place. Me with nothing, with all my bridges burnt, and just sick, So I think when I got clean last October in 2018, I truly accepted in no variation that I could successfully use. I couldn't successfully use alcohol. I couldn't successfully just smoke marijuana. It was, any drugs was an issue for me. And I think that was true acceptance, that I no longer could use any sort of drugs in any combination. I'd say rock bottom for me was having no place to go, no place to call, no money, and living in my car, basically in a parking lot of a country fair. I'd done music I had been clean and done music and built up a reputation and positive things in the region, and done it professionally, but it got to the point where I was missing shows. I had basically nobody on my team, and was living out of my car, and that was about rock bottom for me. I guess for me, relapse was always a progression. I always got that thought, I can control it. I can go out, have a few drinks, smoke a little weed, and I'll be fine. And that might have been the case for a few months, or even several months, but eventually I ended up in the worst possible place. So every time I've ever relapsed, it always was a progression. It started with me losing sight that I was an addict, and I could drink successfully, or I could smoke weed or do other things, and it was always, sometimes faster than others, it was always a downhill spiral. That's happened like 5 or 6 times. I've done treatment maybe 5 to 7 times over the last 12 years, but it was always a progression. I think initially in 2009, I had gotten a year of clean time and relapse. Eventually ended up back on opiates. 2010, I went to treatment and got on Suboxone program. I was just using Suboxone for 2 years. Ended up getting off Suboxone and was clean for almost 5 years. And then in 2015 or 2016, I relapsed. And then got clean again in 2018. So I had a year, and then 4.5, 5 years, and now a year clean. For me, self-acceptance is an ongoing process. I truly believe in a 12-step program. I truly believe that in-depth step work with a sponsor is the ultimate guide to self-acceptance. I don't think it's anything that I have down today, but it gets better each day that I don't pick up. The recovery is definitely ongoing. I know that this disease or disorder or whatever you want to call it is ongoing, and it's going to be a process that I'll deal with for the rest of my life. But so far, this last 13 months of being clean has been some of the hardest time of my life. Not every day was easy. It does seem to get easier every day. And I know if I don't pick up, I don't use today, that I'll just get a little bit better. But it's definitely going to be a journey, and I've accepted that, and trusting the process of where I'm at in this moment. But yeah, I don't know what's in store. So I started a podcast called Sink, Swim, or Fly, and it focuses on the 2 things I know most about, which is addiction and art and music in the region. And it's pretty open-ended. We talk a lot about whatever is going on with the guests, or addiction, recovery, music, local arts. And I hope that people will hear that and see that you shouldn't be ashamed of being an addict, and good things can come from addicted people, and that there's others out there like you.
And oh, Virginia.